Hello everyone. So today I realized last week that a lot more people than I gave credit for actually seem to want to watch my World of Warcraft theory crafting, rambling, just absolutely nothing videos about my plans. This is not going to be one of those. This is going to be, I don't want to say a guide because let's face it, there's so many on YouTube that say, here's how you pick which healer you want to play. Look, I'm just going to tell you what all the healers do and how they do it, and then you can make your own educated decision, because I'm not going to tell you which is the best or which is the worst. I'll tell you what they excel at or what they struggle in, and then we can all decide based on that, or you can decide based on that. So having said that, if you want to be a healer in World of Warcraft, you have four choices. You can be a priest, which was my very first character to 60, and I raid healed, I PvP healed, I did all that. I have a lot of experience on that. A druid, which I played a lot in Burning Crusade. Didn't play, I got to like level 43 in vanilla, but I think I leveled balance. Don't level balance. Don't be balanced, period. Paladin, which I have probably the most PvP healing experience on because I had level 49 and then 59 Paladin and then leveled into 70 and then PvP healed and PvE healed through most of the raids in Burning Crusade. Shaman, I don't like the heathens, so I don't know crap. I know a decent amount about their raid healing, and I've been on the brunt for the other side on PvP healing, so I know generally how they play, but I can't give specifics because I never played a shaman, so keep that in mind. So, we'll start from the top. What does the priest give? Okay, the priest is probably, if you value versatility, you want to be a priest. You have lesser healings. You have like 6 spells, 6 different ranks of lesser healing. I don't remember the exact number of ranks, but you have a lot of room for down ranking for your plus healing. You have Renew, which is a heal over time, which again, you can down rank to accommodate how much plus healing you have. You have Power Word Shield, which is a very unique spell in Vanilla Classic, which is basically a bubble you put on someone. Be careful, but be careful about putting this on warriors, however, unless it's in PvP and they're about to die, or you know, like a hateful strike's about to come up, then you put that son of a bitch on it. But it impedes rage generation for both druids. I don't know if it's druids and warriors, but I know it affected warriors because I had so many priests put bubbles on my warrior while dungeon grinding to 60. Oh, it sucked. But okay, getting off of that, you have Psychic Scream for PvP, because if you're using it in PvE, you're already fucked. Let's just be honest here. You're done. Unless you get very lucky and they don't run into another group. You have Greater Heal, which is your big slow wind-up, which when you're talented for it, increases, I think, the enemy, your tank, or whoever you hit with the Greater Heal, increases their armor by like 20%. It's like Ancestral Healing, or something shamans get. You have Prayer of Healing, which is an AoE heal, which can heal your entire 5-man group. Not your raid. Your 5-man group in the raid. So it's very mana expensive, it's very inefficient, but if everybody's taking damage and you gotta keep everybody alive, you do what you gotta do. You have Lightwell, which, good luck ever getting anybody to click that thing. I've never used Lightwell because I didn't think anybody was smart enough to actually click the thing, and from what I've heard online, I was probably right. Cons. If you go in PvP on a priest, people are going to notice that you're healing, because a great many priests don't heal in PvP. Look, that's the ugly truth. A lot of people don't like healing in PvP. I'll never understand why, but they don't. I love healing in PvP. It's my favorite thing to do. But yeah, you're wearing you're wearing a robe in the middle of a battlefield, so you feel like a bit of a dingus. That's a con. You die inside of one rogue stunlock. That's a pretty big con. You cannot cure poison. That's a really big con in PvP. What can you cure? You can cure magical afflictions, you can cure diseases. Good luck finding one of those in PvP, except against an undead shadow priest. The only good thing about priests in PvP that I never really got into, there's 2 of them, was mana burn. God, I used to have so much fun running around in Battlegrounds, mana burning the piss out of hunters and shamans that weren't paying attention to me. And mind control. I used to get such a kick out of going up to Lumber Mill in Arathi Basin and just mind controlling the biggest, baddest motherfucker up there. You know that warrior with an Ashkandi and like high warlord gear? Yeah. You get him, jump off the cliff, he dies. You feel like I just soloed a raid boss. So, that's just going off of memory. As far as PvE healing, they're good. I mean, they're more involved than other classes. You have to know more about how to downrank and how to conserve your mana, because priests are not what you would call mana efficient. They can be if you know how to downrank. Me as a 15-year-old know-it-all, I didn't think downranking mattered, man. You have to actually know what you're doing a little bit more, otherwise you will run out of mana in raids. You're probably going to be the one to get the innervate. Actually, the top-geared priest will probably get innervate. You'll probably be stuck with demonic runes and mana potions. At least in my experience. So get ready to farm DM, Dire Maul. Or DME, I guess I should have said Dire Maul East. Dire Maul East the one drops demonic runes, or does all Wings of Dire Maul drop them? I think you can also get them in Skolo and Strat, I'm not sure. But, yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of farming for consumables if you don't want to run in the middle of a raid. But you are the most versatile and most equipped healer to deal with almost any situation on a priest. Druids. Now, a lot of people say druids are, quote, the weakest healer. And in a sense, they're kind of right, but they're kind of not. Now, it depends on what you mean by weakest. As far as throughput, yeah, kinda. Maybe. I've also heard their healing style's not really that fun in vanilla, because in raids, from what little I remember, I was standing back there with them. Excuse me. When I was standing back there with them, casting my greater heals on the tank, what I remember was they were spamming not regrowth and reju. They were spamming healing touch rank 4. I don't remember how long of a cast that is, maybe 2.5 seconds, maybe 3, I don't remember. I never played a druid much. But they were mainly spamming rank 4 healing touch on, and then occasionally throwing up the most well-geared druid with the hots onto the tank, and then start raid healing as well with the other ones. You're not probably going to top the healing meters as a druid, but you do bring Innervate. For those who don't know what Innervate is, I believe it allows you to keep regenerating mana as if you were not casting while you are casting, so essentially you can just keep casting and your mana is going to rejuve as if you were not casting. Best used on priests. Now, I've had people give my paladin Innervate, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why the hell did that happen? They're like, well, you're the... and that person, didn't want to be a dick, but if you're gonna do that, give it to the priest. As much as you might like me, give it to the priest. You'll make better use of it, because paladin spirit is doo-doo. It's not very good on paladins. It's a lot better on priests who have a lot of spirit. Especially if they spec for that one thing in I remember it was Holy or Discipline. One of them increases your mana regen, like 15% while you're still casting, so... Anyway, in PvP, these guys can absolutely piss you off to no end unless you are on the Alliance side, with me giving you freedom and cleansing those roots off of you. If you're on the Horde side, you will hate Night Elf Druids. As a warrior, I can tell you from experience, I played on the Horde warrior, you will hate the Night Elf Druid. Because they're the flag carriers in Warsong Gulch. They're the stealth people in AB guarding, they're the anchors. They're the people bat capping in AV. They're like the stealthy healer. Because they can go into stealth in their kitty form. These are the guys that are like the Swiss Army knife of healers. They can play as a rogue, they can play as a warrior, they can play as a healer, they can play as a mage. If versatility, in the strictest sense of, I want to be able to do every role in the game at once, appeals to you and outlasting enemies, Resto Druid's for you. Because you can run away from almost everybody. Almost. Actually, you might be able to run away from everybody, because they're the best flag carriers. These guys are the I'm just not going to let you get anywhere near me to hit me, and I'm just, as a result of that, I'm just not going to die kind of healers. Now, keep in mind, this is the one I've had next to least amount of experience with, so I might be wrong, but the things they do bring to the table is, of course, Fairy Fire. As you can see there, if you put a Fairy Fire onto a Horde or any rogue, period, you're going to tick them off, probably causing them to focus you exclusively, because now, because of you, they can no longer vanish until they get that dispelled. Rejuvenation is pretty good. The only problem with Druids healing in PvP is, if the enemy's worth their salt, they're going to dispel your hots. And trying to throw up a healing touch without nature swiftness on a druid in PvP, I've seen it happen so many times, is you're going to get counterspelled, and then you're probably going to die. So keep in mind, they're not the best PvP healers. They're not really the best PvE healers, because you're not going to top healing charts, which don't matter anyway, because that's usually just measuring spot healing. But they are good, solid healers in their own right. Plus, the only other unobvious benefit is that not a lot of people, in my opinion, are going to roll Druid. So if you do roll Druid, the odds are you get into a raiding guild, you might get decked out quick, because they're not going to take a lot of Druids. You do bring Innervate and Battle Res, which can save wipes in raids. But you're probably not going to be able to use the Innervate on yourselves. Sorry, Druids. And if you can, something went wrong. Either all your priests are dead, or I'm not going to say the other one, but you probably screwed up. Anyway, on to the next one, because I don't know as much about Druids as I do about Priest and Paladins. The ones I have the most PvP healing experience on. Paladins is for us healers who, just like yelling, "Screw you, I'm not going to die today." That's the... in PvP, anyway. And what I mean by that is, we have plate armor, we have a shield, which adds like 2,000 to 3,000 more armor. So we end up with like 5,000 to 6,000 armor, maybe 6,500 armor, along with toughness. Which is like 50 to 60% physical damage mitigation. Usually like 60, 62, I remember, for some reason. We don't have very versatile heals. Now, by that I mean we have 3 healing spells. A lot of people only spec into 2 for God knows what reason. I don't know why. We have 3 healing spells that you should be using if you're PvP healing. Those are Flash of Light, Holy Light, and Holy Shock. A lot of people will not take Holy Shock. A lot of people, in my opinion, are doing it wrong. Now, the reason for that is, in PvP, you need instant cast heals. It's not a matter of, well, it's not very efficient. No, you need the heals. Don't worry about efficiency in PvP. You need the instant cast heals. If you don't have the instant cast heals, you're going to die faster. Or whoever you're trying to heal is going to die faster. Plus, you should probably only use Holy Shock as a heal when you have Divine Favor up. So for those who don't know how Paladin healing works, which is fair because a lot of people apparently go ret, what happens is, every time you crit with Illumination, you get 100% of your mana back. Doesn't matter if it's a Holy Shock, doesn't matter if it's a Holy Light or a Flash of Light, you get all that mana back. Totally. As you can imagine, Paladin healing is for us crit whores who love healing, and we love crits. Also, we're just not going to die. We have Divine Shield, we have Blessing of Protection, which we can give to other people for complete physical immunity. We have Divine Intervention, which is a raid wipe prevention tool, which priests do not have, and druids don't really have, unless you count Battle Res as a wipe prevention tool. So that's really useful in a raid if you can give the Divine Intervention to the right person. Meaning preferably either a priest or another paladin who's way back and not going to aggro the mobs once everybody's dead. So, try and map out who you're going to give Divine Intervention to before the shit hits the fan. As far as the actual rotation of a healing paladin, from what I understand of a guy who I used to know who used to raid Nax back in vanilla, it was pretty much just spam Flash of Light on the lowest health person, which suits me just fine. I love that playstyle. I love spamming one button. But you're going to be spamming probably 1 or 2 buttons at max as a Holy Paladin in raiding. Let's not get it twisted here. In PvP, however, things get a lot more complicated. You're going to have to juggle cleansing. That's going to be a big one. You're going to be cleansing a lot of people if you're worth your salt as a paladin in PvP. You're going to be giving Blessing of Freedom not just to warriors, but to rogues, hunters. You got to be using all these different utilities for the team. Blessing of Sacrifice, another huge one in PvP. Blessing of Sacrifice, for those who don't know, every time whoever you put the blessing on gets hit, they get hit for 55% or 55 damage less, I think, and that 55 damage goes to you, the paladin. Now, you might go, why would you want to do that? Just increase their survivability? Well, that, along with I cannot be sheeped, I cannot be gouged, I cannot be, I don't know, fucking hunters trapped. Anything that breaks on damage, they cannot crowd control me that way. The only way they can crowd control me is to counterspell me at that point. Or fear. Fear will also do the job because I don't think it breaks on damage. But you eliminate a huge chunk of crowd control that would otherwise fuck you and your team over if you use that right. And I don't think there's a cooldown on it. Or maybe that was during the Burning Crusade pre-patch. I don't know if they removed the cooldown from it then or not, or if they had it all along. I don't honestly remember. But you're going to be using a lot of cleanse, a lot of flashes of light in PvP. You are basically a mobile tank that can heal. Now, you are very susceptible to counterspells as a paladin. Almost all of your heals, except Holy Shock, which you should take, will or can be counterspelled. So you're going to have to learn how to fake cast, you're going to have to learn how to line of sight, block people, which is not easy in a battleground a lot of times. Let's just get it out there, because if you're in the middle of the Warsong Gulch field, which is where you're probably going to be on a pre-made, there's nowhere to line of sight. If you overextend, you blow your bubble, you heal, you start making your way back toward your front lines, and leave the warrior to die if his dumbass still has not come with you. Don't get yourself killed to heal the warrior. Believe me, I've done it a lot. Don't do it. It sucks. I mean, you two might kill 6 people, but you two are then dead, and then you surrendered the field to them. Anyway, I've went over paladins enough because I'm biased, because I love paladins. Shamans! Oh, wait, I guess I should add one more thing about paladins. Paladins are the premier defensive support class. Priests are, like I said, you gotta dispel the enemy team of their useful buffs. You can dispel your team of the magical debuffs. Paladins cannot purge, or they cannot dispel buffs from the other team, but they're the best cleansing. Like, they can cleanse magic, they can cleanse poison, they can cleanse disease, all in one spell. All 3 at once. So you can cleanse 3 things at once on a paladin. Now on a shaman, they are the offensive support. These are the guys that throw down, if they're good, they'll throw down the Wind Fury totem for their warrior, who's probably wielding a big-ass 2-hander, and then they'll start casting crit chain lightning with elemental mastery, or whatever the hell that thing is. That's basically a guaranteed crit. And you basically have to survive a 2000 crit to the face, and then whatever the damage the warrior can throw out. So, the shaman's goal is to make the fight last as short as possible while supporting his team, whereas the paladin is all about making the fight last as long as possible in a battle of attrition. Which one do you fit under? I fit under, let's just make it last forever, and we will win eventually. So I'm going to be a paladin. Shamans, I'm just going to tell you, I've seen like one guy ever heal in a battleground on a shaman. And that guy was like godlike, because he knew when to burst heal, and he knew when to burst damage. I'm going to tell you, in a pickup group, if you're going to be a horde warrior, don't ever expect to heal, unless you know the guy or the girl. Just don't. You'll never get one. I guess the same goes for Alliance, unless you run into me into a battleground. Don't expect paladins to actually heal. A lot of times they won't do it either. For some reason, everybody thinks, I'm a hybrid, I can do DPS. No, you can't. Look, in PvP, I guess ret paladins aren't terrible. They're just, good luck catching anybody unless you have engineering. But anyway, no, I don't want to crap on ret paladins. I do it enough. I know. People say, you're just really biased against ret paladins. Well, maybe I am. I've seen a lot of them in action. Very few of them have actually been successful unless they're geared to the nines. But shamans do have a good damage spec. It's called Elemental. Usually, I think the way it goes is you go 30 Elemental and then 21 Resto to get the Nature Swiftness. So that way you can Chain Lightning, Nature Swiftness, Chain Lightning if you really want to just burst. Or you can go Chain Lightning, Nature Swiftness, throw a greater healing a greater healing wave on the warrior, you're a true hybrid. You can do both the offensive and the defensive. So a lot of people like shaman for that. But the thing is, it's a lot easier to be a decent paladin than it is to be a decent shaman. As far as raid healing for shamans, I think they like to use chain heal, like lower ranks of it. Once you have decent plus healing, you're basically the AoE healer. If such a thing even exists in Classic, shamans are it. You might be delegated to using whole healing wave on the tank. I don't really remember. Mainly for that one armor buff, but I think that'd be like one shaman, like the best geared shaman might be on that duty. Everyone else is like chain healing the raid. You're basically going to be a raid healer, and you're a damn good one. So yeah. Which one of those fit you the best? Versatility and healing spells is Priest. You just want to... Well, I don't want to say you just want to piss everybody off as a druid. You're more of a healing over time / methodical healer. As the druid, paladins are the I just want to spam really quick spells and just have really, really, really efficient heals and I will never die, which is me. Or do you want to be able to add in with the DPS, or in a rating thing, do you want to AoE heal? Because it's been a long time, but I don't remember any enhancement or elemental shamans in the raids back in the day on my warrior. They're almost all like elemental resto or resto. I think most of them were elemental resto because they were ranking on the side. So you can do the 30-21, the 30-0-21 on a shaman and still raid. I've seen it happen. I've seen it work really well. Paladin, I'm planning on doing my PvP spec in raiding as well, because there's no real reason why I have to spec into Improved Blessing of Might. Other paladins will have that covered. I have kings. The only ones you really have to spec into specific things for raiding, as far as healing goes, is kind of like Priest, if you like to PvP as Shadow, in which case, oh, you poor, poor child. I played a Shadow Priest in Battlegrounds. Yeah, I killed some people I really had no business killing, and then I had to drink for like 30 seconds. And then I got jumped by a rogue and died instantly. But Druid... I don't know, man. They all have their pros and cons. You'll be a unique snowflake if you pick Druid Healer, though. You will be. Plus, they can do some monstrous kiting in World PvP. If you're into World PvP and you have a warrior, you can pull off some amazing things just by hauling ass, running circles around your warrior while they're trying to catch up to you, while your warrior just slowly eats away at somebody else. When you keep the hots ticking on them, this all requires, of course, that nobody knows how to dispel your heals. But that's the risky run in Classic. Druids are very hard countered by Dispel, so Fell Hunters, Dispel from Priest, Purges. So Alliance Druids, Resto Druids do have it a little harder than the Horde equivalent, because Shamans have Purge, which can purge all your hots. You don't have Life Bloom yet, that's in Burning Crusade. So, yeah, there's pros and cons for each faction on each class. As far as races for each class, we've all heard the age-old debate on priests. You have to be a dwarf priest if you're on the Alliance. What was my priest? My priest was a human priest. Because I didn't want to be a dwarf. That, and I thought I was being, galaxy brain at age 15, and I was a know-it-all, and I thought 5% spirit, that really synergizes well with his, with the holy tree, I think it was a holy tree talent. I was a little know-it-all, didn't really know much at all. If I had to play priest again, I would be miserable, but if I had to pick one again, I would probably roll dwarf. Female dwarf, just because I like the way female dwarves look. If you're going horde, it's muddying the waters. I don't know much about horde things. I know Undead Priest got Devouring Plague, and I know Troll Priest got Shadow Guard. Maybe Hexing Touch, something like that. There's like a little mini Mortal Strike that can be dispelled. It's kind of crap, in my opinion, if anybody knows how to use the cleanse button, but a lot of people don't in PvP, I guess, so... Whatever. As far as druids go... I already told you, and you're gonna have a rougher time healing in Battlegrounds on a Night Elf than you would on a Tauren, because the only people that can dispel your hots as a Tauren would be Alliance Priests. I think. To my knowledge, I think that's the only class that can dispel your hots, whereas the Alliance has to deal with Shamans dispelling their heals. Paladins and Shamans, obvious. They can't be the other side, so. That's it. Hopefully, if you are planning on playing a healing class, my rambling and sometimes blatant ignorance, though I don't think I'm ignorant, but I'm sure some people will say I'm ignorant. Also, if you're going to do this, I'm trying to tell you, right now, don't level Holy Spec. I leveled a Holy Priest. Don't do that. Unless you go Wand first, and then you can do that. But even then, I still wouldn't do it. I'd level Shadow if I had to do it all again. If you're a Druid, you should probably level Feral. If you're going to play a Paladin, you can do it Holy. It wasn't difficult. It just probably took 3 times as long as it ever should have, because I leveled Holy Prot on my Paladin. This time, I'm going to level Ret. Shaman, pretty sure the go-to thing is leveling Enhance. I don't know. I think that's the way it is. Basically, have fun, whichever one you're going to do. Which one of these fits you the best? Priest, Druid, Paladin, or Shaman? So, hopefully this helps somebody who didn't really know what the hell they wanted to do as far as healing. If I had to rank the healers as far as which one does the most HPS, well, if you really want to know those numbers, I'm pretty sure it's Paladin. Look, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure it is. Then followed quickly by Priest, and then Shamans, and then Druids. But that is not to say Druids are bad. They are not bad at all. You will get your heals sniped until you learn how to heal as a Druid, because people like me are going to be using Flash of Light, which is a 1.5 second cast, while you're using like a 3 second cast. It's going to happen. But you also have that one AoE healing spell, which is like the biggest aggro grab of all time. I think it's called Tranquility. But, I mean, if the whole raid's taking damage, you might be able to throw rejuves out. Just, make sure to remember to drink your mana potions on time, have your brilliant mana oil and all that if you're going to be throwing out a lot of hots. That goes for all these things. You should probably have brilliant mana oil and all these different consumables if you're going to be healing in raids, period. So that's not just exclusive to Druids. But if you have to go as far as HPS, I think Paladins are first, just because they're spamming 1.5 second casts that heal for quite a bit anyway, because Blessing of Light also increases the amount of healing your heals, except Holy Shock do, so it's basically like extra plus healing. But that's not the whole story. No one remembers that Power Word Shield on the Patchwork fight right before the Hateful Strike that saved your warrior. Or that Power Word Shield that saved your warrior against Makesna, or that spider thing that stuns everybody for like 5 seconds, and the warrior has to like shield wall through. Power Word Shield helps a lot more than a stun Paladin does. Unless the Paladins can bubble through that, in which case, I don't know. I guess Paladins would have the edge there. But the point is, every class has different things they excel in, so don't go based on which one does more HP per second. Don't do that. I mean, you can do that. Just know that's not the best metric to use, in my opinion, but I am going to go Paladin, because I love healing, I love giving blessings out, I love buffing people. As far as buffs go, Priests get Stamina, they get Shadow Resistance, they get Spirit. I think that's all the buffs you get, but you will be giving them out, and they cost a lot of money with all if you want to do the big ones, but they do last an hour, or half an hour, a lot of them. Druids have Mark of the Wild, they have Thorns. And if you spec if you're a Feral tank, you might have Leader of the Pack, I think. Paladins, you have Blessing of Wisdom, Blessing of Might, you have Blessing of Kings, Blessing of Salvation, Blessing of Light. Trying to think if there's any more in raids you'd ever be using. Blessing of Sanctuary if you're the Prop Paladin, which I'm not going to be. But that's another one you want to put on the tank. Shamans have their 4 totems, but they're probably going to be totem twisting if they're worth their salt. Meaning if you're in the melee group, you'd be dropping Wind Fury, and then after that you'd be dropping Grace of Air, and then before the 10 seconds are up, you'd be dropping the Wind Fury again, and then you'd be throwing down the Grace of Air again. Stuff like that. Between your healing, if you can manage it, or if you just want to be lazy, you can just leave the Wind Fury down. I think they also do have Mana Tide, so if they're in a caster group, they can give mana back at an extraordinary rate with the other healers. Or, I guess, if you really wanted to just OP your mages, you could put them in the mage group. So I'd recommend the healing group, though I have no idea, I don't remember that much about Horde rating. And that's it. I guess these are probably just the same things I just said. Yeah, they're incredibly one-dimensional, and all that stuff. I went through basically all of this, but yeah, this page is also really great if you didn't get all what I said here, or you want to see what they have to say about all this. This is actually pretty good. I'm not going to go into gearing and what you want to be looking for, because it's kind of different for every class, at different gear breakpoints, and how much plus healing you have, and all the different things. It's actually incredibly nuanced as far as healing goes, so I encourage you to look up and do your own research, but this is just a vague guide if you're not sure which healer you want to play. And I'm sure this probably just confused more people than it helped. But if you actually did get help by this, I'm happy. So tomorrow and Saturday, we will be having more Deus Ex. Just for everybody wondering, no more of the World. I'd probably do one World of Warcraft video a week from now on. This is to this week's. And hopefully I will see you all later. Because I'm done. I don't want to. I'll see you next time, folks. Until then.